Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another Warframe Tennogen video. So in this video, instead of covering any of the frame skins, I wanted to go over one of the Syandanas available in the market. The one I wanted to talk about is the Rota Syandana. Now this one came out in the first round release of the Tennogen products, and as you can see in the photo, it does have a unique plate-like design at the top of the Syandana and an elegant cloth design draping from that plate. So when I originally saw this Syandana in the market, my first impression was that I expected it to be very bulky, with the round plate being quite overpowering in the back. However, when I noticed another player wearing this item in the game, I realized that this wasn't the case, and so I decided to get it and kind of spotlight that point here. So as this is a Syandana and not a frame skin, I can't really show it by itself. So what I thought I would do is to actually show it with some of the frames that are in the game itself. Anyway, I won't be able to show it with all the frames, and if I do miss the frame you wanted to see, I apologize for that. Okay, so to start off, I would like to show the Rota Syandana and Excalibur. Now, as Excalibur is one of the most popular frames in the game, I figured I would start with him. Now there is one small problem you can sometimes see with the Syandana, in that the plate can be so large it can clash with some of the pole arms and staff weapons. Now this does depend on which frame you use, but with Excal it is noticeable. If you change to something like a sword type weapon, then of course this problem goes away. Let me just rotate Excalibur so that you can see. So as you can see, with a sword you don't see that problem, and it actually looks pretty darn good, but I just wanted to show that there can be problems that you can have with pole arms or staff type weapons using this Syandana. Overall though, you can see that it's a very elegant Syandana and it's not bulky at all. And in fact, with Excal's large frame, the Syandana can seem a bit small. So what we can do is try looking at it with some of the other frames. So next up we have Frost. And for Frost, I feel the Syandana works really well. What's interesting is that with Frost, you don't have that pole arm issue that you saw with Excalibur. And the weapon doesn't end up clashing with the Rota, so that's pretty good. So why I like this Syandana with Frost is because though Frost has a fairly detailed color pattern, he doesn't really have a detailed, complex structure to his frame. And so the Rota gives Frost some complexity to his structure in a very good and elegant sort of way, and it does this without looking really bulky in the back. And of course, with a sword type weapon, you won't have any particular clashing issues between the Syandana and the weapon itself. And so overall, this Syandana looks really good on Frost, and I'll probably be using this quite often with this particular frame. Okay, so third up we have Zephyr, and here I've shown her with the Hagoromo skin. As this is fashion frame, and I think the Rota looks really good with this skin. Now I think for Zephyr, she looks especially good carrying a sword for a melee with this Syandana. So if you give her the Destrenza and the Rota, you could actually make Zephyr kind of look like a Spanish conquistador Zorro sort of look. Now you can of course switch out her melee for a staff or a pole arm, and in her case, she doesn't have the clashing issues with the Syandana like you saw with some of the other frames. Now I do have to note that I am using the straight up holster option for all of these frames, but as you can see here, it actually looks pretty good on her. So I think the Rota looks quite well with this particular frame as well. Okay, so next I wanted to show the Rota with one of the smaller frames in the game. So here we have it with Nova. And despite her small structure, the Rota looks pretty good and doesn't feel bulky or overpowering at all. Now you got to give credit to the designer in that they were able to make the Syandana feel prominent without feeling bulky, which is not an easy feat. Now, of course, Nova here is equipped with a staff, and for the most part, the weapon doesn't clash with the Syandana for this particular frame. So one thing I like about the Rota is that the length of cloth is not so long as for it to drag on the ground, even with a small frame like Nova. So this well-balanced length actually works well with the Space Ninja theme where maneuverability is supposed to be emphasized. So what's interesting is that with a sword weapon, you actually get a bit more clashing with the Syandana than with a polearm. Now, for any Syandana that has a draping large cloth, it is really difficult for it to not clash with the weapon or even the frame. So I don't think it's a major issue overall. So the frame that I found to fit the Rota Syandana surprisingly well is Mesa. Now, since Mesa has always had that sleek gunslinger style to her, an equally sleek Syandana actually works really well. Now, I've equipped her here with the Latron Prime and Akvasto guns, and with a polearm, you could see that the weapon slightly clashes with the Syandana, though it's not too severe. And if you switch out her melee to a sword type weapon like the Destrenza, then you actually find that the Rota Syandana ends up looking really good with this setup. Again, let me put her in this proper stance. Okay, so the Rota Syandana is actually very sleek looking, especially from the side, and so it really fits this entire gunslinger theme that Mesa often has. And so I was surprised how well the Syandana fit this particular frame. Now I do want to note here that I was so focused on the compatibility of the Rota Syandana with melee weapons that I didn't realize how it may be affected by the primaries. And as you can see here with the Latron's grip sticking out of the plate of the Rota, the primaries may have as equal or possibly even more effect of clashing than the melees. And so I apologize for not seeing that with the earlier frames, and I did want to make you aware of this situation. However, overall, I think this Syandana works really well with Mesa, so I just wanted to show it to you here with this particular setup. Okay, so one last experiment. Now I wanted to see just how far a very plain starter frame like Mag can look if you added the Rota and a few other items to tweak her up. Since this is fashion frame, can you actually get her to a reasonable fashion style with these items? So I wanted to check and see, so let's check it out. So to start out, I've always found Mesa's stance to look really good on Mag. So I decided to swap out her usual stance with that of Mesa's. Okay, so now add some other items to dress her up a little bit. None of these are Tennogen items. These are all just items you could get in the game. So add the EOS chest piece as well as the Porta shoulder pieces. And since I've only had the Edo knee plates, that's what I used for this particular project. Okay, so of course then in the end add the Rota if Lotus will get out of the way. Okay, so in a first run she's not looking too bad. Let's see if we could add a sigil to further improve her appearance. So let's put on a chest sigil, and the design I wanted to use was, let's see. Let's use the Stalker one. Now in this case I flipped it upside down and matched her colors with the default frame colors. So this is again a little bit better. So one final thing we could do is to color coordinate her weapons. Now I am giving her all Mark 1 stuff, but since the Mark 1 bow actually again clashed with the Rota, I decided to give her a Prisma Scana. I didn't have a regular Scana, but I figured a Prisma one is as close as possible to the former starter weapon. And so let's just match it to the colors that she has on her default frame. Okay, so I think that's it. Just match the attachment. And there. So here's what she looks like, even with the default colors. So even with this, she's actually looking pretty darn good. Of course, if we could still continue to tweak her up, that would be great. So what I wanted to do was to try changing her colors to something a little bit more special. So what I wanted to try for this theme was to do a Arctic style mag, so something that you might take to someplace like Neptune or Venus, and have her in a ninja style suit in a snow country. So most of it will be a whitish ice sort of theme. And if I can remember which colors that I had chosen, then I should be able to get this done quickly. So let me just adjust her accordingly. Let's see. What did I have? I think I had a gray style color for this one. Okay. And the last one was, I think, let me see. Was it this? Oh, it's not looking too bad. I think this is what I had. No, wait. I think it was blue. Yeah, okay, so this is what I had set up for her basic kind of ice Arctic mag style. So now I'll color coordinate her weapons accordingly. Like this and this. Whoops, sorry there. The computer glitched out a little bit, so I had to edit the video there and cut it out. But overall, coming back, she's starting to look pretty good. So, of course, this was started out as a review of the Syandana, so we should kind of look at it. But yeah, you could even take a relatively plain frame like Mag and make her look pretty good. Now, one last thing I do need to do is to color match the attachments, including her Syandana. So let me do that. And yes, much better. So yeah, so this Rota Syandana actually looks really nice on her with the Arctic style look. She has that ice teal sort of look with the white, and that seems to match her pretty good using this Syandana. Now, one last thing, if you were to have the Tennogen skins for Mag, then she would look something like this for this arrangement. Kind of a smoky, shadowy ninja style using the Orbit skin. And if you were to use the, oops, not that one, this one. If you were to use the Nida skin, she ends up kind of looking like a superhero sort of character. So that's quite interesting. And finally, if you were to use the Alada skin, then she would look something like this with this arrangement. I think the one blue is a little bit too bright. So let me change this. I think this one. Yeah, this one. Okay, so yeah, with this arrangement, using the Alada skin, she looks like a space mercenary sort of look. So overall, I think this Rota Syandana works quite well, and for many of these frames, and so I at least I was quite happy getting this Syandana for my frames. Anyway, so I wanted to spotlight this Syandana for this particular video, and I hope you found it informative and enjoyable. So once again, thank you very much for watching this video, and as always, Jaya, nice day, everyone.